Hey there, welcome back to Badass Messaging. We're still in Module 5, Product Messaging, and here in Lesson 4, we're talking about kind of the product core differentiator. Now, we talked about kind of creating a differentiator message for your brand messaging, but this is about your product. And the truth bomb is this: if you want people to choose your offer, you need to explain how it's different from what other people are offering. That's what you need to be thinking about, and that's what we're talking about in this quick lesson. Here in Lesson 4, we're going to cover two things: why your product needs a core differentiator and how to create product differentiator messaging. So, we're going to dive in. This is a quick lesson. The why is really this: unless you're in a very special niche, you aren't the only person solving your audience's problems. They have choices. They are looking at your offer, but they're also looking at other people's offer to decide which one to purchase. So you need to provide a reason why your audience should choose your offer instead of your competitor's offer. So that's part of what you need to be doing here. And you don't want this to be just price. If you don't have a differentiator, the only option is talking about price, which you probably don't want to get into a race to be the cheapest. So what I want you thinking about is this: like, although your brand messaging should have helped, it should have connected people with you, etc., providing them with a product specific reason is really what kind of drives this home. And it's going to make it an even more powerful message, because some people might pay a small premium because they like your brand messaging and your brand differentiator and they like you, but they're not going to pay significantly more for your product than for someone else's, unless you're able to show why yours is different and better. And so that's what you need to be doing. That's why you need a differentiator for your product or your offer, whatever you're selling. You need something that sets it apart. So let's talk quickly about how you do this. To create the differentiator, you identify the shortcomings. So explain where the other offers fall short or otherwise create issues for your audience. And so this is some of the work you should have been doing in developing your product in the first place, or developing your offer. Say, what are other people doing, and why is it not working? Why are the other solutions not solving my audience's problems? Now, it could be that it's not specific to your audience. It's generic. It could be that they don't address a very specific thing. It could be, any number of things. But what you need to do is find what is it about the other offers, the other things that are competing with your product or your service that aren't kind of, meeting the needs of your audience. Figure that out. Then differentiate your offer. Describe how your product or service is different and overcomes those shortcomings. So again, if you're in a space where, for example, they're choosing between your product, which is very niche and very specific just for your audience, or a more general product, that can be what you say. You say, look, this is developed just for you. It's not for, everybody. And because of that, it's tailored to your very particular needs, your very particular situation. So that would be an example of how you could do a product differentiator if that was how you were differentiating. But what you've got to do is figure out what is kind of the shortcoming of the other offers, or the shortcomings, and then describe your product and how it overcomes it. And by the way, you should be doing this, you should be figuring this out when you develop your offer. So you need to make sure that your product actually does do these things and that your product is different, so that there is a reason for people to buy. So we're talking messaging now, but just to understand, in developing your product, you need to be thinking about this too. So with that, I'm going to give you an example, again, from our BOMU Live 2020. And just to give a little bit of kind of background, we were developing our virtual event in 2020 when it was COVID. And so what had happened was, most people had been planning to do in-person events, and then all of a sudden COVID hit, so they were trying to do something different. And so one of the things we did when we were looking and seeing what people did wrong, one of the shortcomings we identified was that really what people did was they just took what they were going to do live at an in-person event and said, okay, we'll deliver that virtually. And when we talked to our audience, when we talked to a lot of people, it was not good. They didn't like it because it felt like they were sitting there just watching 3 days of webinars because there wasn't anything else. So we called that out. We said Badass Online Marketing Live is most definitely not 3 days of webinars, because that would really suck. And then we kind of, we talk about it. Look, everybody's having to go virtual. And then we say, the mistake they did is they just kind of took their live presentations to Zoom, and that doesn't work. And so we were identifying this as the problem. Now, again, we probably didn't need a differentiator here, because in our event, there was an obvious differentiator also, which was the content was going to be completely different than anyone else's. But this is giving you a sense. That's one of the things we were doing, is distinguishing between this type of thing. And then what we said is, and here's how we're different. We're building this from the ground up to deliver value to you. And we said, look, we're not taking what would be a live thing and put it into that. No, we are starting from the ground up and thinking, how do we create a virtual experience that serves you? So we basically said, here's the problem. Here's how we are solving that. And it's not an issue with ours. So this was kind of one of our differentiator statements. Again, we had other differentiators, which was just the content by nature, but this was one of them as well. So that's a quick lesson, quick idea. Don't overthink this, but your offer should be different, and you should be able to develop a differentiator statement, a differentiator messaging around how your offer is different, how your service is different, and kind of why people should pick it versus the competitors. So the takeaway: creating product differentiator messaging helps your offer stand out from the crowd, which will give them a reason to buy. So that's obviously what we want. So find what makes your offer unique and craft messaging around that. You need to do that. That's your call to action. If you haven't developed your offer yet, you need to be thinking about this as you're developing your offer. But you need to figure out, what is it? What's the unique selling proposition for your specific offer? That's it for this lesson. In the next lesson, you'll discover how to create a price anchor for your product or service, which is an important thing to do.